Good time of day, guys! My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. Last episode, we continued Yoigoshi as Arakawa and Miyuki made it to the Frude Shrine, where they met up with a green-haired woman who is, as I thought, not Akane, actually. It's Mion, which is certainly weird. She did not age as well as her mother, but I'd imagine it'd probably be difficult to if all your friends died in a gas disaster. So, you know, maybe it's not that bad for her. Maybe she's doing rather well for her age. As well as a blonde guy named Otobe, a pink-haired girl named Yae, and there's also some guys sleeping in the corner. So that's lovely. It's presumable that that's Yae's boyfriend, or whomever she came here with. I forget if they were, what it was specifically stated that they were. I think they're boyfriend, girlfriend. They might be fiance. I don't know how to pronounce whichever one of those words is the one I'm mispronouncing. Husband, wife, doesn't matter. Yeah, sorry for not uploading yesterday. I wasn't really feeling up for recording yesterday. So, yeah, today is January 6th. It is my 23rd birthday, which means I am old as hell. I am in my mid-20s. This is horseshit. Let's keep reading. So, where will we head now? We're outside. No, we aren't. That's called a cinematography. I chugged the beer down in one big gulp. The aftertaste was equally terrible. Well, you are drinking beer. But even so, I belched out the fizz gathering in my throat and eventually found the resolve to push myself forward. I took a deep breath, then pulled a business card out of the notebook in my breast pocket and held it up where everyone could see. Alright then, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Ryunosuke Arakawa. I'm a well-known freelance writer. Well-known, you say? Is my heater's turned to 70. I need to set it to 60 so it turns off if it gets too hot, and turns back on if it gets too cold. Alright. Sorry about that. I am very silly. I am very silly. Is Mion still talking? There were a few mouth flaps there. Weird. Okay, what's up? The woman dressed in traditional clothing chuckled to herself. Oh, shut up. It's the beer talking, okay? I specialize in matters of the occult. In fact, this month's issue of the Weekly 7 is the Ghostly Village Special Edition, written by yours truly. It's nice to meet you all. Ghostly Village Special Edition. So you're the one who wrote that article? The young woman seemed completely disinterested at first, but she appeared surprised all of a sudden and looked up to respond. You know of it? Yes, I read it earlier. Same here. I read that special edition too. It covered a lot of stories from several different locations. It was really interesting. Why, thank you. It required a lot of research, so I ran into many difficulties writing it. But hearing your praise makes it all worthwhile. Being praised for my articles made me hold my head up high. But the woman in the kimono had a lukewarm reaction, simply tilting her head to the side as if to say, "Is that so?" The Weekly 7? Wow. I suppose it's some popular magazine everyone is reading? I don't read it very often, but I do see the headlines on posters in the train station all the time. It was just a coincidence that I happened to buy this month's issue. Could it be? Are you not familiar with the Weekly 7? Never heard of it. Seriously? Her words stung a bit. The Weekly 7 is a famous gossip magazine that appeals to a wide age range. It's been around since the dawn of the Heisei era, 1989 to 2019, and it even shows up in TV commercials. It's been providing high-profile coverage of all sorts of issues. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I thought eras were based on, like, the currently ruling emperor or whatever of Japan. So, what? Why did, it's 2006. Why is it marked 2019 there? Am I wrong on on how eras work? Someone tell me, someone inform me on Japanese history, please. This was my first time meeting someone who had never read it, much less never even heard of it. She must be living a life completely disconnected from the outside world. The Weekly 7 is advertised pretty often on posters and in newspapers, so you've probably seen it before. The logo has red text on a white background. Unfortunately, I cannot recall seeing any advertisements like that. The woman in the kimono looked puzzled as she said that. How heartbreaking. I'm surprised you haven't heard of the Weekly 7. I guess you don't read many magazines? I wouldn't say that. So that article is the reason all of you came here? What, does she still read manga? Oh, no! It's actually just a coincidence that I came here. Me too. It's just a coincidence. The article wasn't the reason I came here. It seemed unnatural for both of them to declare that all at once. These two, there's something wacky going on with these two, but I can't put my finger on what. And even if it wasn't their primary reason, it would have been good social etiquette to just say, I read the article and it made me more interested in this place. So, Arakaba, I take it you came here to do some reporting? Of course. For the I've started to mention the Occult Special 2nd edition, but I cut myself off. Given that a group of strangers were gathered together in an abandoned building, the situation was occult enough on its own. And on top of that, all of these people have a lifeless look in their eyes. Yeah, that's what's really weird to me. So you're a journalist. Seeing people like you gives me the urge to tell you to value yourself a little more. Thanks for the concern. That seemed like an annoyingly roundabout way of insulting my occupation. Then the woman in the kimono poured herself another cup of sake and pointed her chin toward the young woman. Alright, you're up next, miss. Huh? Oh, my name is Tawada. The young woman looked a little embarrassed as she began speaking, so she slightly lowered her head. Yae Tawada. And the man sweeping over there is my companion, Takumi Kurosawa-kun. As she said that, she turned back toward the young man sweeping in the corner of the room. He was apparently sweeping quite soundly, so there was no indication he'd be joining this conversation. There's not a chance in hell he's actually sweeping, right? This guy has not gotten up at all. They didn't show a sprite of him in that tip. I don't think he's alive. I don't know whether that means Yae killed him or if he just clonked out on his own or some Hinamizawa syndrome bullshit. But I don't know. I don't know. I get the feeling, if I had to guess, like the whole suicide car thing, someone had to have driven that car. So, I don't know, I feel like that was probably Yae's boyfriend or something. I don't know who those other 3 people are then. The fuck? Very, very confusing. Brain not working. Are the 2 of you married? Oh, no, it's not like that. We're not married. He's my boyfriend. I guess we're not quite there yet. Tawada-san bashfully waved her arms as she denied that implication. But she definitely said boyfriend, so their relationship has probably been going on for a while. We drove here together. This is the first time the 2 of us have traveled anywhere on our own, so I'm just a little nervous. It was Yae who brought up, who called the car the suicide car first, right? Otobe said it second? Which one said it first? I'm pretty sure it was Yae. And I don't think they had said that it was suicide. I don't know. Maybe they had and I'm just thinking too hard about it. We came here on a one-day trip from Tokyo, and Takumi-kun was really tired, so he'll probably sleep for a while longer. Oh, and I'm not a student. I have a job, at least for now. It's very nice to meet you. You have a job, at least for now. Herm. Tawada-san anxiously said all that in a single breath. She sounded like an audience member on a variety show who was suddenly called onto the stage. I wasn't sure what I should say in response to Tawada-san, so Otobe and I simply lowered our heads a little to acknowledge the greeting. You drove all the way here? So, did you come here on a date? Yeah. Is that weird? No, I just thought it was a little unusual to have a date in a ghost town where an entire village died. Oh, really? Tawada-san looked upset as she stared at me. Well, it makes sense if they're the sort of couple who likes to visit occult spots together. There's plenty to be curious about here. It is weird. I mean, I can see the appeal. I will say that. I, personally, even, can see the appeal. That would be fun. That said, it's not normal. And I get the feeling the game doesn't want me to think it's normal to, hey, let's go on a date to this village where a bunch of people died. That sounds fun, right? Let's do that. I get the feeling she killed that guy. I don't know how no one would just check on the body and be like, oh, yeah, he's dead. Because if I'm right and Miyuki's a cop, it's like... That would explain her weird glare, because she can probably see right through her and just be like... Yeah, she killed him. But she's just biding her time? I don't know. I don't know why. I guess if she says he's sleeping, because she's the only one who said he's sleeping. So if he's dead or whatever, then... And we find out he's dead, she did it. I mean, it's that simple. Whatever. But for some reason, that just didn't feel right. She didn't look like the sort of girl who would go out drinking with a man in a place like this. Why, because she's pink? Well, to each their own. But even if that means leaving your girl behind and passing out drunk, such a shame. Leaving a pretty girl alone in a village like this. He must be an awfully careless boyfriend. The woman in the kimono slowly turned to the sleeping young man as she said that. Yae's gonna try to take her attention now, isn't she? However, Tawada-san simply gave a vague smile. It was kind of a long trip. Well, that's fine. You should have a drink. Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm right. I'm so right. As the woman in the kimono prompted, Tawada-san took a sip of her oolong tea. The liquor bottle was still over half full, and despite all the beer cans littered on the floor, only one had traces of lipstick on the mouth. The sake bottle the woman in the kimono has been guzzling down was only recently opened, so Tawada-san probably hasn't had much alcohol at all. But she's not, at least visibly, wearing lipstick, and Mion is. So what? Whatever. Meanwhile, Otobe has been anxiously fidgeting his fingertips the whole time while listening to our exchange. Maybe it's that he has something to do with the car, because we don't know why he came to the village, and the tip with him hasn't shown anything about him other than he met Mion in the village. Whatever. Otobe, here, you should eat this. Huh? Oh, okay. Is this squid? Why, you don't like squid? Not really. That's why you should eat it. Forcing yourself to eat something you don't like will allow you to appreciate it more. What? First off, not liking squid is an L. Second off, huh? Huh? Here, eat it! Here, and here, and here. Whoa! Otobe sat there bewildered as the woman in the kimono gently piled bags of dried squid in his hands. Oh, dried squid, never mind. Thank you for the food. It's good. See? As soon as Otobe spoke favorably of the dried squid, the woman in the kimono gave a satisfied nod. Maybe it would be good, I don't know. Anyway, there was something warm about the way the woman in the kimono looked at Otobe, because he reminds her of Satoshi. How on earth are the two of them connected? By the way, Otobe, are you into playing baseball or anything like that? Nice. Huh? I don't like exercise at all. What made you think that? That's one thing you don't have in common. I certainly can't picture you playing baseball. What are you talking about? I cut in on her conversation to ask about it. Based on the way she was talking to him, could these two be somehow acquainted? No, I apparently remind her of an old acquaintance. An acquaintance? So the two of you have a common friend? That's not it. The person I'm thinking of was a guy named Satoshi. But that was over 2 decades ago. And he died a long time ago. Based on the tone of her voice, she seemed quite fond of this Satoshi. I don't know much about him, but he sounds like a nice person. Of course. I hate to say it, but he had a much more steadfast resolve than you. I'm sorry. By the way, how do the two of you know each other? We met shortly after I arrived in this village, so I don't really... Something about the tone of his voice irritated me. I'm no good at dealing with people who can't act their age. In fact, I straight up dislike them. Oh, well, you'd hate me. Which is not a problem, because I don't like you. So, what's your name? That's why my voice grew harsher, even though I knew I was being childish. Otobe jumped in a panic, then scrambled to set the bags in his hands down on the tatami mat. Sorry for not introducing myself sooner. My name is Akira Otobe. I drove here, too. Okay. So he could have driven the suicide car. Don't know why he would. It'd be weird to stage a murder like that. Otobe suddenly responded in a trembling voice. Like a street interviewer had abruptly handed him the microphone. This guy, too. Honestly, I find it hard to believe such a timid young man would come here all on his own. As I pondered that, Otobe turned to avoid eye contact. And then, he resumed fidgeting uncomfortably. So, you drove all the way out here? On your own? No. Well, things happened, and I got separated from my friends. Separated? Right. Yeah, he's totally involved with the, quote, suicide car. You got separated? How? Despite my piling inquiries, Otobe simply turned his head downward and remained silent. Oh, this is bad. Maybe I came on too strong and questioned him a bit too harshly. With that in mind, I cleared my throat and began to say something to calm him down and urge him to continue. And then... on the way here, they all disappeared. Huh? That's weird. Weird excuse. The moment Otobe said that, the assembly hall fell completely silent. They disappeared? What do you mean they disappeared? Hold on, why are you suddenly turning this into a ghost story? Also, where's Miyuki during this? This isn't the place for something like that. That's not it! It really happened! Otobe slammed the floor with his fist and turned to me with a serious look in his eyes. Once I saw that, I stopped making fun of him and urged him to continue. Then what do you mean? Explain yourself. We left Tokyo this morning and traveled all the way here through the mountains. A friend of mine handled the driving, so after a while, we came to a place with a nice view of the entire village. For people used to city life, the scenery certainly does look picturesque. If they arrived in the afternoon when it wasn't raining, it would make sense to stop the car and take a look around. And while we were there, I decided to take a quick bathroom break. I went into the woods looking for a good spot, but when I came back, everyone was gone. Even the car had disappeared. With so little context, the story was hard to believe. Besides, this sounds terrible to say, but is it possible that your friends left you behind? Maybe your friends were just trying to scare you? Huh? I don't know what kind of people your friends are, but maybe they're still hiding out there, having fun watching you scared and alone. That's not possible! Otobe smacked his dried squid on the floor and looked me directly in the eyes. My friends would never do something so awful. Now please, stop speaking so disrespectfully. Alright, sorry. No need to get riled up, just throwing it out there, that's all. I didn't go far from the car, and I went straight back afterwards. But I couldn't even hear the sound of the engine. Okay. That's bullshit, right? Otobe was so upset that his shoulders were moving up and down as he breathed. He seemed outraged by the mere suggestion of doubting his friends. Was that really something to get so mad about? Then, the car really did disappear all of a sudden? Along with your friends? That's a little hard to believe. I feel the same way. I don't understand the meaning of this. So, I started to panic and ran around searching for my friends in the car. Then I slipped and slid down a cliff and lost my way. Tawada-san and I remained silent as Otobe was getting excited right in front of us. What's confusing about it is if he does have something to do with the suicide car. Why? Why would he stage a murder like that and then just be stranded in the village? He seems completely different from earlier, so I get the feeling he's not lying. What the hell is going on here? The next moment. The woman in the kimono lightly chuckled as she poured herself a third glass of sake. What is it? That sort of thing isn't a big deal. Huh? What is that supposed to mean? The three of us stared at the woman in the kimono, all at once. She gave us all a huge, sweet grin, and then spoke. The three of you aren't from this village, so there's no way you could possibly know. Huh? I'm talking about Onikakushi. Yo! The third best arc. Onikakushi? As a matter of fact, I have heard of that. Indeed. It's a story passed down in Hinamizawa since ancient times. For a long time, people in this area have been known to suddenly disappear. This village came to refer to that as Onikakushi, or being demoned away. But that's usually referred to as being spirited away. So why would they call it demoned away instead? Tawada-san timidly chimed in with a question. Except I made her sound genuinely inquisitive. But the woman in the kimono didn't answer, and simply smiled to herself. The silence was growing awkward, so I jumped in to provide an explanation. Long ago, this village was referred to as Onigafuchi Village. Onigafuchi? Legends say the village was named as such because the bottom of the swamp was connected to the realm of demons. The swamp was allegedly deeper than the ocean, a bottomless swamp where anything that sank within was swallowed by hell itself. Hence the name, Onigafuchi. Huh? So then, this name written here, Onigafuchi. That's right. The village's name was changed to Hinamizawa during the Meiji era. Up until then, this village was known as Onigafuchi Village. Upon hearing that word, Otobe looked up at the Onigafuchi Guardians poster stuck to the wall. One day, demons emerged from the swamp one after another. Demons came overflowing from hell. The villagers believed as much, and they were absolutely terrified. The demons came forth from the swamp and attacked the villagers without mercy. The humans were powerless before the demons. The villagers were confused, frightened, and at a loss for what to do. They had no choice but to flee. If things continued like that, the village would be destroyed by the demons. But just as the villagers were ready to give in, a god descended. Oyashiro-sama. This god they called Oyashiro-sama was a compassionate deity. The demons ceased their attack on the villagers and bowed down at the behest of Oyashiro-sama's orders. And then the demons quietly returned to hell? It would have been nice if that was the case, but it seems the demons had circumstances of their own. These demons were allegedly exiled from hell, and cried out to Oyashiro-sama that they had no place to return to. Across both hell and the human world, these demons had no place to call home. And so, Oyashiro-sama decreed that the demons and villagers must find the means to coexist. Oyashiro-sama gave the demons human form, to allow them to coexist with the villagers. After that, the humans and demons mated, and this village came to be home to half human, half demons. I stopped myself right there, cleared my throat, and then continued in a low voice. But the problem is what came after that. Problem? These weren't just any demons. They were man-eating demons. No way! Even though these man-eating demons were given human form, they were still demons at their core. Deep down, their instinctual desire to hunt humans was still there, and that desire could be triggered any time. Their blood may have been diluted by crossing with human blood, but that demon instinct was ingrained in their DNA. Yet, it was impossible for them to openly cannibalize their fellow villagers. So, they would come down from their hometown on a regular basis, and... No way. They kidnapped people? Rather than reply, I simply nodded silently. Indeed, based on how the story had progressed so far, it was easy to see the rest. In other words, the people who were demoned away were in fact victims of this habitual demon hunt. That was rather thorough, as expected of an occult writer. You've done an admirable job investigating. Why, thank you. Well, it's just as the reporter says. That's what being demoned away means. But then if there's no one here, no one can actually disappear, right? Otherwise that would mean, oh, Mion did a... There's no other Hinamizawa residents around. Being abducted by demons so they can feed on you? Well, something like that. Said that in the old days, the villagers of Onigafuchi descended upon human settlements and captured pitiful sacrifices by force. What happened to Oyashiro-sama? Why didn't Oyashiro-sama step in? The kidnappings were done with Oyashiro-sama's blessing. After all, Oyashiro-sama is the guardian deity of this village. If the villagers could live together peacefully, there wouldn't be a problem. But Oyashiro-sama recognized that these sacrifices were necessary for the humans and demons to cohabitate. That's horrible! Having no choice but to sacrifice someone in order to keep on living. There is another story about the Watanagashi ceremony, which is held on the night of sacrifice. But the Wata actually refers to human organs. Well, I'm not sure how much of that is actually true. As soon as I said that, I took a deep breath and looked at everyone around me. Then, you're saying Otobe-kun's friends were demoned away? As sacrifices to man-eating demons? It's an unbelievable story, but if something like that were to actually happen, you'd have to believe it, wouldn't you? At the very least, Otobe's friends were involved with something mysterious. That caused them to disappear. Hold on! We still don't know for sure! My friends are definitely still alive, okay? I'm sorry. That was careless of me to say. Sorry, that was a poor choice of words. This still isn't for sure. Otobe clenched his fists and then sat back down where he was, still possessed by excess discord with no outlet. In doing so, he seemed to recognize the futility of his behavior, and instead focus his energy on believing in their survival. So, about your friends, what kind of people were they? Huh? Let's search for them together, tomorrow. That's not necessary. I can search for them on my own. That's no good. These are your precious friends, right? You don't want them being eaten by demons, right? Right. Tawada-san meekly chimed in with a pale look on her face and both her arms crossed. I guess she imagined the content of our earlier conversation. These friends of yours, you were close, right? Yes, yeah, I think so. However, Otobe continued looking down, trying to avoid eye contact. Come on! What happened to your enthusiasm from before? Otobe! Yes? What's wrong? You look pale. Oh no, it's not like that. The woman scooted closer to Otobe on the tatami mat and said, "Is that so?" while giggling and pinching his cheeks, huh? Could it be? Are you afraid of being demoned away? No way! Is that so? It's fine, it's fine. Well, it can't be helped. That's the situation we're in. It'd be stranger if you weren't afraid. After all, even if they're not nearby, there are plenty of people who've died in this very village. Those words suddenly reminded me of the suicide victims I encountered earlier. I wonder if they're involved. Otobe and Tawada-san both looked distraught as they turned their gaze downward. Hey, aren't you being a bit hasty here? Isn't it a stretch to suggest that his friends were demoned away simply because he got separated from them? Of course, he simply got separated from them. Isn't that right, Otobe? Well, anyway, you can't exactly walk home from here. Would you like to ride back with us tomorrow? Oh, that's okay. You don't have to. What's wrong? I said it was okay. There's no reason to hold back. No, really. Otobe stubbornly refused and hung his head. Was he just being timid, or was my kindness unwelcome? Arakawa-san, no need to be so pushy. While I struggled to size up Otobe's true intentions, the woman in the kimono interrupted. In this village, it's commonplace for people to disappear. It's nothing to get flustered about. And, well, I'm about done here. The woman in the kimono showed little regard for me as she finished her glass of sake, then quickly rose to her feet, and then she slowly began walking toward the hallway. Hey, Jew! Hold on! I scrambled to get up and chase after her. Hey! I said wait! What is it? I saw the pristine white nape of her neck from her loose collar before she slowly turned back to me. The gesture looked so unexpectedly beautiful that it didn't belong in this world. What is it, you ask? You haven't introduced yourself. You're the only one who still hasn't. You're the one I'm most curious about. A suspicious woman in a kimono bathed in an unreadable aura. And she spoke of being demoned away, which of course only people from Hinamizawa should know about. Who on earth is this woman? Duh. The woman let out a small sigh, then turned her eyes my way. My name's Mion Sonozaki. I'm a resident of Hinamizawa village. Huh? Sonozaki? No way! As in that Sonozaki? Doesn't matter which Sonozaki I am. This woman, Sonozaki-san, quickly made her way down the hallway after saying that. The last name itself wasn't particularly rare, but within Hinamizawa, it took on a special connotation. So I couldn't suppress my astonishment for having met a person like that completely by coincidence. Hey, is Mion-san someone famous? Famous doesn't cut it. The Sonozakis are a prestigious family in this area. They're one of the 3 families that once ruled Hinamizawa. That's ancient history now. Oh, Sonozaki-san! Where are you going? I have some business to take care of. Business? You're awfully nosy. I came here because I have business at the shrine. I'm not here to keep you company. Sonozaki-san turned back and let out an exaggerated sigh. Then Sonozaki-san stopped at the entryway and crouched down to put on her sandals. You know, funny thing. Yae is alone with the quote-unquote sleeping guy right now. Just figure I should mention that. I'm not going far. My business is in a building right behind this assembly hall. Also, there's only 2 other pairs of shoes here, which is curious. Behind? Could it be in there? If that's the case, wouldn't that be a great opportunity? With that in mind, I rushed back to the assembly room, grabbed my rucksack packed with documents, and scrambled back to the entrance. Otobe was so surprised by my movement that he jumped. What's going on? I'm certain of it! The building behind the assembly hall is the ritual storehouse! It's the place where ceremonial tools are locked away! Ritual storehouse? That's right! The ritual storehouse! It contains the tools used for festival rituals! The shrine priest of the Furude family managed it, and only a select few people in the village were permitted to enter. Also, where's Miyuki? Allegedly, the tools used in the village's most secret rituals are housed inside. If you're interested, you can come too, Otobe. Sonozaki-san was already prepared to head out, and had her hand on the door as she casually looked back to make that offer to Otobe. Me? Is that really okay? I don't mind if you come or not. Then, am I allowed to go too? If you insist. Why does she treat me so coldly? Then Sonozaki-san turned toward Tobata-san to ask her too. How about you? Coming? She's gonna say no. Oh, no. I'll stay here. Her response surprised me. Wouldn't it feel lonely staying in a place like this on your own? My boyfriend is still asleep. I think Takumi-kun would be really alarmed to wake up alone in this room. Besides? After all that talk about people being demoned away, I can't just leave him here by himself. But maybe I'm overthinking it. I see. Tawada-san gave us a sweet smile. I admired the courage behind that smile. I felt a little worried about leaving a young girl alone in such a massive assembly hall, especially a derelict shrine assembly hall within a ghost town. I was a bit envious of the drunken man with her, who knew nothing of her compassion. In fact, I was resentful. If I were Tawada-san's boyfriend, I definitely wouldn't spend all my time in a liquor-induced coma. Wait, what am I talking about? She has the unwavering strength to stay here on her own. Otobe, you could learn a lot from her. I'm not scared or anything, okay? Oh? If you're not scared, then why are you making that face? It's not like that. Sonozaki-san turned to Otobe and started teasing him, but he did his best to respond seriously. But the two of them were just so different. Sonozaki-san pinched Otobe's cheeks, then he immediately turned red and went quiet. Tawada-san lightly giggled to herself as she watched the two of them. I think my boyfriend is going to wake up soon. Once he does, we'll head back to Tokyo right away. Ah, is that so? Then I guess there's a chance he'll be gone by the time we get back from the ritual storehouse? That's right. Interesting. In that case, take care. Thank you for the meal and everything. Tawada-san lightly bowed her head. Oh, so I guess she was the one who brought the snacks and drinks? Thanks, Tawada-san. Later. Sonozaki-san and Otobe made their way out of the assembly hall. I made my way to the exit, and then looked back through the doorway. Farewell. Tawada-san watched us all as we headed out. Yeah, she killed that guy. After exiting the assembly hall, we pressed on through the shrine grounds. Though the rain had died down a bit, the ground was still muddy and difficult to walk on. Nevertheless, Sonozaki-san continued walking forward without making a sound. Even though visibility was poor, she confidently stepped forward. Seriously, is this woman really from this world? As that impossible thought came to mind, I quickly glanced at Sonozaki-san. Preposterous. Something like that. is completely impossible. Despite that thought, I couldn't help but feel suspicious as I gazed in awe at her skillful footwork. Just then, Sonozaki-san suddenly came to a halt. What's wrong? Shh. Sonozaki-san's piercing glare signaled me to be silent. Then I quickly glanced left and right. Got it? Don't make a sound. Sorry. Okay. Sonozaki-san remained still, like she was waiting for something. I strained my ears, but I couldn't hear anything more than the rain crashing down on the mud. Let's go. Once again, Sonozaki-san began walking forward. But shortly thereafter, she stopped again. Sonozaki-san? What on earth is going on? I think someone is here. Huh? Very close by. Rain clouds blotted the entire sky, so the moonlight couldn't break through. I followed Sonozaki-san's lead and listened carefully. Oh, I remember now. Miyuki went to the fucking car, right? But I didn't hear anything particularly unusual. Maybe it's a voice that only Sonozaki-san can hear? Hey, you. Can you hear anything? Absolutely nothing. I started to smile with relief at Otobe's response. But just then, I heard it. Tip, tip, tip. Footsteps. Tip, tip. Something's out there! I told you to be quiet! Sorry! As Otobe continued apologizing, he pointed his flashlight all around. The dense trees growing around the shrine were illuminated, one after another. Eventually, the light struck a wooden building shaped like a warehouse right in front of us. At a glance, I could tell it wasn't your typical building. It was so heavily decorated that all who stood before it would stand in awe. An impressive building. Is that the ritual storehouse? Huh? Otobe wobbled his flashlight left and right, until the light finally caught the door of the ritual storehouse. And a dark-haired figure stirred in the middle of the circle of light. Otobe must have seen the same thing. He shook the light to be sure. Eventually, the light struck a set of pale legs and a familiar pair of jeans. Miyuki-chan? Huh? The person in front of the ritual storehouse door was Miyuki-chan. Ryunosuke-san? Once she recognized us, she lightly jogged over. Hi, what you doing here? Thank goodness! I got lost on the way back from the car. Lost? I got careless. I left the map in the car, so I wasn't sure how to get to the meeting place. I don't trust that. Nope. Miyuki-chan shrugged her shoulders and stuck out her tongue, but Sonozaki-san stared coldly at the awkwardly smiling girl. Sonozaki-san? So, did you bring the luggage? Huh? Oh, yes. Fortunately. Miyuki-chan held up a sleeping bag and a large knapsack. Mion-san took a look at the large bag, then frowned and spoke up. You've been lost for quite a while, haven't you? Eh? Your bags are rather soaked, aren't they? Oh, that's right. I'm not very familiar with this area, so I had some trouble navigating. Miyuki-chan was acting a little peculiar. She said she got lost. But was that the truth? It was eerie how easily she was able to lead us to the Furude Shrine. So, why would she have trouble navigating now? And more importantly, the assembly hall is directly in front of the shrine gate, but the ritual storehouse is deeper back and much harder to reach. Passing by the assembly hall and getting lost back here is completely impossible. Maybe Miyuki-chan has been looking around out here the whole time, carrying the luggage. But why would she do that? By the way, Ryunosuke-san, what are you guys doing heading to the ritual storehouse? Did we ever say this was it? Oh, well... Sonozaki-san said she had business there, and I decided to tag along. That's amazing! I can't believe she would show you the ritual storehouse. Once again, my heart skipped a beat. Miyuki-chan, how did you know that this building was the ritual storehouse? The way she said she would show you implied she knew Sonozaki-san was someone with the right to show people the ritual storehouse, doesn't it? What's wrong, Ryunosuke-san? You're staring off into space. Maybe you're running a fever. Silence. Stop making a fuss over there. Ah, got it. Sonozaki-san grabbed Miyuki-chan by the shoulder and pushed. In response, she rushed over to the door of the storehouse. Otobe, aim your light over here. Okay. Otobe turned his light toward the storehouse in a panic. There was a heavy padlock hanging on the door of the storehouse. That's an impressive lock. Indeed. It's really old-fashioned. For the time being, I decided to pull out my digital camera and shoot some material. But Sonozaki-san held up her hand and glared at me. Apparently she didn't want me taking photos. It can't be helped. But just being able to witness the interior would be a godsend. I'll just have to commit everything inside to memory so I can put it in the article. But it's locked, so I guess we can't enter. What should we do? Step aside. Sonozaki-san pulled the string on the long tube she was holding under her arm, and what emerged from within was a handle. What? The silky cloth quickly fell to the ground as Sonozaki-san grabbed the handle. Is it a gun? Because he just made a cocking noise. Sonozaki-san! Is that? Perhaps it really is one of those. A gun blade. Then Sonozaki-san silently pulled it out of its sheath. It is a sword? Okay. She's got a unique sprite for it, too. What emerged was a very fine sword that looks oddly short next to her sprite. Illuminated by the flashlight, a dull glow reflected off the blade. Just as I thought! A katana! Why do you have something like that? Or rather, what are you planning to do with it? Well, I mean... I got so excited, I didn't know what to say. At any rate, what on earth is she doing out here with such a dangerous weapon? Arakawa, shut your mouth and step aside. Alright! I jumped away from the door. Sonozaki-san cocked the katana, held the katana so the tip of the blade sat directly above the padlock. Mion-san? The surrounding air gathered around Sonozaki-san. Sonozaki-san closed her eyes, and in due time, they opened once again. Clang, clatter. I couldn't see it very well. Then I noticed Sonozaki-san's katana pointing toward the ground, and the padlock split in two, still rattling on the ground. Though all of us stood around her stunned, Sonozaki-san calmly stepped forward. And then, after taking a few steps, she casually turned back to us and spoke. How long are you all going to dawdle? Let's go. Okay. Wandering alone in a village like this in the middle of the night, wielding a katana, and intent on coming to this very place. What on earth is she? Sonozaki-san pushed the heavy door open and stepped inside the ritual storehouse while I stood there lost in my doubts. It smelled of mold and dust, with an iron-like metallic stench mixed in. It's pitch dark, so take care not to fall. Alright. Oh. Otobe was shining his flashlight around, then stopped when he found a circuit breaker attached to the wall and reached out to it. I looked up to see several light bulbs hanging from the ceiling, but they must have all been burned out because not a single one lit up. The light from the flashlight should be sufficient. In fact, it's more convenient that way. Stepping in a little farther, we found another set of doors. Sonozaki-san put her hands on the door, and then abruptly started pushing it forward. I could tell how heavy it was from how much he struggled to open it. Intending to help, Otobe and I put our hands on the door, and in time, we heard the sound of the door opening. Whoa! Whoa, whoa. My voice echoed. A room far larger than I expected was spread out before me. And at the same time, a foul stench reached my nose. The murky air was filled with a smell like rotting fish, and this thing right in front of us. Is that Oyashiro-sama? A huge Buddha-like statue stood at the edge of the ritual storehouse. This is the guardian god of Hinamizawa? It's amazing! Taking a look at my surroundings, the walls, ceilings, shelves, everything was filled with various chisels and carpentry tools. Looking a little closer, I noticed a steel cage hanging from the ceiling, and some kind of restraining device in the corner of the room. And on the table, there were several chain restraint mechanisms. This is where the festival tools are supposed to be stored, right? But isn't it a little strange? A natural question. Though the Watanagashi festival was always a little strange to begin with. When Otobe asked that in a trembling voice, I responded as such and turned my gaze toward the carving knives, saws, and other large slicing tools hanging on the wall. The festival of Hinamizawa is said to have been the festival where the demons ate humans. Watanagashi, with wata meaning organs. It's a ritualistic ceremony of sending entrails drifting downstream. Huh? That's right. These aren't mere tools. They were actually used in service of spilling human blood. These are those tools. I can't believe something like that truly existed. Miyuki-chan examined each and every tool with sharp eyes. Unlike Otobe, whose eyes wandered all around, trembling. So all the tools in here were for killing people. In the folktale, the humans and demons were able to coexist. But I guess this means reality wasn't so sweet. Miyuki-chan. Miyuki-chan said some frightening things in such a nonchalant tone of voice. While feeling surprised by Miyuki-chan's courage, I took another look at the tools. I could picture it clearly in my head. A human sacrifice enduring absolute torment while hanging on the border of life and death. I couldn't see a rational need for these tools to be created. But if these tools were used to butcher the sacrifice while they were still alive and prepare them for consumption, the elaborate designs and decorations all pointed to a single purpose. In other words, the murders were carried out before an audience. And even the villagers must have found enjoyment in such a cruel sight. That thought made me start feeling nauseous. Ryunosuke-san, are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. Looks like you're totally cowering in fear. Miyuki-chan put a hand on my shoulder to try and comfort me, but I just raised my hands and awkwardly laughed it off. After watching that, Sonozaki-san turned around and continued searching for what she was looking for in the dimly lit room. This is the reality of being demoned away. Otobe, perhaps your friends are being butchered and eaten by the demons that abducted them at this very moment. Sonozaki-san! Sorry. We still don't know that for certain. I could hear the anger in his voice from Sonozaki-san's imprudent choice of words. Then Sonozaki-san shrugged her shoulders and casually rifled through a cabinet. No way. I never would have imagined anything like this. It's like they were doing it as a warning to others. A warning? Right. Listen to me or suffer a horrible death. Yeah. As a matter of fact, that's exactly it. There are specific rules the people of Hinamizawa are expected to follow. And the villagers who violated those rules were supposedly killed in a terrible manner to set an example. What are those rules? Well, they mainly exist to keep the village isolated from the outside world. Don't let others into the village, and don't leave the village. The rules prevent the flow of people in and out of Hinamizawa. If those are the rules, then maybe they were established to protect the villagers with partial demon blood, like in the story you told us earlier? That might be it. Otobe quickly turned his head away as I agreed with his observation. It was a bit surprising, because up until now, I didn't think Otobe was a very reliable person. What were you talking about earlier? Oh, right. We had a conversation about the history of Hinamizawa while you were out, Miyuki-chan. Was it the story about the alien parasites? Pfft. Aliens? What are you talking about? Though Miyuki-chan said that with a jovial smile, Otobe responded in a hysterical tone. The tense atmosphere from a moment ago dispersed in an instant. Was that a weird thing to say? No, I've heard that story before. That theory recently made the rounds on the internet. What's this about aliens? They say that in ancient times, aliens came to Earth aboard a flying saucer that landed at Onigafuchi Swamp. The aliens control the minds of humans using parasites, and they've been spreading the word of Oyashiro-sama in order to maintain their way of life. That's just called being a Higurashi fan. Otobe stood there dumbfounded, with his mouth hanging wide open. Well, anyone would react that way the moment they hear something about aliens. How do I put it? You two really are occult writers, huh? Hold on. I'm not one of those. Miyuki-chan denied it with a bitter smile as I shot Otobe a scornful glare. The way Otobe said really didn't sound like a compliment. Damn it. I know it's not unreasonable, but it's still frustrating. Look, it's not just crazy stories like that, you hear? There are other examples. Then I pulled out a scrapbook and flipped through it to find a more down-to-earth explanation for the theory. The sound of turning pages echoed throughout the ritual storehouse. According to that theory, the most powerful figures within the village were mind-controlled by the aliens, and they used them to bend the villagers to their will. I see. I've seen people discussing that online. They also mentioned how members of the Sonozaki family tortured innocent people. Sonozaki family? Do you mean that Sonozaki-san's family? Well, that's what they said anyway. Miyuki-chan broke into laughter halfway through saying that. It was clear that she didn't take the story seriously. But when standing among all these tools, it seemed misplaced to blame all these atrocious murders on the work of aliens. It wasn't a convincing story. Even so, once Otobe heard the name Sonozaki, he began frantically looking back and forth between Miyuki-chan and Sonozaki-san. Well, it's true that the Sonozaki family is one of the most powerful organizations in the village. That said... No way. You're saying that Sonozaki-san is being controlled by alien parasites? That's absurd. Otobe was looking pale until a little while ago, but a smile finally started to form on his face. Perhaps he thought the story far too ridiculous to be believable. What's wrong, Otobe-kun? Oh, no, it was just kind of funny to imagine Mion-san as an alien. Mion-san? Right, Mion, Sonozaki-san. Mion. Taken by surprise, I quickly flipped back through the scrapbook. Ryunosuke-san? Hold on. No way. It can't be? Mion Sonozaki. That's it. I finally understood why that name stuck out to me. There was no mistaking it. I definitely saw that name in the scrapbook earlier. My hands lightly trembled as I flipped through the pages. Otobe apparently didn't notice my agitation. He seemed to be relaxed and enjoying our discussion of absurd theories. Anyway, the stuff about aliens is a wild story. I don't know who thought it up, but it's just so crazy. But you know, there was someone out there who actually believed this story. A girl from this village held a school hostage, doused the classroom in gasoline, and fought desperately to get more people to believe this alien theory. Oh, so this is post-Sumi Horoboshi? Really? And her actions seem to lay the groundwork for the modern alien theory. Right, Ryunosuke-san? Right. I mean, yeah, I guess they did say read this after after Sumi Horoboshi. But damn, I didn't think it'd literally be the same fragment. I briefly looked up from the scrapbook to make it look like I was paying attention. The police tried negotiating with her, but they failed. A massive explosion occurred within the school building. Oh, this is not the same fragment. It's just a similar one. Killing the culprit and all the students held hostages within. And how the fuck did Mion survive? Oh, I missed school that day. Had a cold. Yeah. And the very next day, the gas disaster occurred. By the way, there are rumors that this girl predicted the gas disaster as well. And there are still some doubts that the gas disaster was a natural disaster at all. Some of the more wild conspiracy theorists allege that a secret government organization released the gas in order to annihilate the aliens. When you go that far out, it's impossible to keep up. Just then, Sonozaki-san let out a stifled laugh. She was apparently listening to our conversation while rummaging through the torture tools. And then... So, this alien parasite of yours probably possessed me too? What are you talking about? Quit joking around. That's right. I'm not actually me at all. The truth is, I'm being possessed. Sonozaki-san's eyes glimmered in the dark as she let out a creepy laugh. I thought she was just joking. She had a mysterious, terrifying visage, and an eerie shadow was cast behind her back. I felt an human aura emanating from Sonozaki-san as she turned her back to the statue of Oyashiro-sama. She looked like a demon herself. Indeed, juxtaposed with the fierce shadow of Oyashiro-sama, she looked inhuman. Please, stop making these weird jokes. Otobe trembled as he exclaimed that with all his might. I, on the other hand, was too embarrassed to say anything at all. Russell. Ugh! I took a step back and accidentally bumped my arm into something, making me drop my scrapbook. Ryunosuke-san. Sorry. I bent down to pick up the scrapbook, but my hand suddenly stopped. What I found down there was the article I had been searching for, and the name Mion Sonozaki was clearly written there. Hey, take a look at this! Ryunosuke-san? What is it? Miyuki-chan, come here for a second. I took a quick glance at Sonozaki-san, then grabbed Miyuki-chan by the arm. Ryunosuke-san? Look, just come with me. I focused my gaze downward to avoid making eye contact with Sonozaki-san as I dragged Miyuki-chan out of the ritual storehouse. Huh? Arakawa-san! Sorimachi-san! Feeling left behind, Otobe began frantically looking around. And then Sonozaki-san resumed hunting through the torture tools inside the ritual storehouse. I found it. The thing I was looking for. This scroll. Sonozaki-san smiled to herself as she pushed the pile of tools aside to reach for the scroll. When Otobe saw that, he caught his breath and swallowed hard. Hello? Hi, Rika. What are you doing here? Behind the scroll, the figure of a long-haired girl was reflected. Rika-chan, thank you. Then the girl muttered something to Sonozaki-san with a thin smile on her face, before vanishing into the air. What? With this, everything is complete. The statue of Oyashiro-sama was standing behind Sonozaki-san, with a sickle in hand. In Otobe's mind, that sight overlapped with a vision of a demon slashing a human open in devotion to Oyashiro-sama. Arakawa-san! Sorimachi-san! Otobe was short of breath as he came running out of the ritual storehouse. So what about the article? Miyuki-chan, take a look at this. Outside the ritual storehouse, I spread open the scrapbook and held it up to Miyuki-chan. It was a newspaper article from 1983, listing the victims from the school hostage incident. Oh, okay, I see where this is going. A list of victims? What about it? Right here. Take a look! I pointed at the list of victims from the gasoline explosion at the school. Satoko Hojo, Rika Furude, Mio and Sonozaki. Funny how those four just happen to be next to each other. Rena. Miyuki-chan's eyes fixated on a single entry. Mio and Sonozaki. Huh? That's right. Mio and Sonozaki. But, no way. Why? That shouldn't be. I find it hard to believe too, but Miyuki-chan kept silent and continued gazing at the scrapbook. No, I see exactly where this is going. Arakawa-san! Sorimachi-san! Otobe ran over, then started to look perplexed. Maybe he noticed the tense atmosphere around Miyuki-chan and me. What's wrong? She's dead. Huh? I was frustrated by the look of absolute incomprehension on Otobe's face. Because Mio and Sonozaki died over 20 years ago! Take a look! I handed the scrapbook to Otobe and pointed to the article. Otobe carefully looked over the page I indicated, and eventually... thud. He dropped the scrapbook, and Miyuki-chan stared blankly at the ritual storehouse, making no effort to hide her bewilderment. What is a dead person doing here? It can't be true. That's impossible. If that's the case, then who is that person over there? Shion. Ding, 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 ding. Yay! I win! It's Shion! Ah! Most difficult mystery in the game. If that's not Mion, because Mion's dead, then who the fuck is that person that looks like Mion? Oh, it's her twin! And that's why she's so hyperfixated on Otobe looking like Satoshi! I even made a joke last episode being like, oh yeah, you can tell it's not Shion because she'd probably be crying if she thought she had reunited with Satoshi after all these years, but I don't know, I guess she doesn't cry that easily. Oh, my dead friend after 20 years! Oh, I'm so happy to see you. Like, that's literally how she reacted. Like, Jesus Christ, she had a fucking crush on him. Why wouldn't she cry? I feel like even Mion would cry, technically, and she didn't even fucking have a crush on him. She had a crush on Keiichi, so like, yeesh. Whatever. A deceased person from this very village, guiding living beings into the world of the dead. The words from my father's diary ran through my head over and over again. No way. The dead are reaching out to the living? This village has something strange going on. Something that defies common sense. I tried to spin a few words, but nothing I said brought me any peace of mind. I've investigated many places as an occult writer, but this was a first for me. A village that's been blockaded for over 20 years, where the dead walk freely and the living can be demoned away in an instant. What the hell is going on here? Maybe I shouldn't have come to Hinamizawa after all. I knew nothing of the incomprehensible power at work within this village. Yay! Very solid episode length. My god. Woo! Fantastic. Ah! Damn it! Whatever, I have time, let's do that. Okay. Thank you. So, what's it gonna say? There it is. Eventually, I found a sword while searching through a shelf in the back of the ritual storehouse. A sword handed down through the Sonosaki family. The Tamahajiki sword. And that was the crucial key to finding the very thing that we were searching for. Still, it sure took a lot of trouble just finding the key. And there should be a single scroll showing where the item is stored. But where is it? I wiped away the dust and carefully examined the item stored on the shelf. Or is it actually Mion and it's some, like, actual magic bullshit? Yeah, I don't fucking know. Whatever. Although, it'll be hard to find anything in here with so little light. I guess that would also explain why she only seems like an acquaintance to Miyuki if Miyuki's totally being influenced by Rika somehow. Maybe I should head back to the assembly hall. The moment I said that... What are you doing back here? I heard footsteps coming from behind and turned back, thinking it was Otobe and the others. Oh, hi, me. Huh? Without a doubt, the person standing there was her. Choo! Are you looking for something? That's right. I'm having a little trouble. That answer was the best I could squeeze out. The more I tried to understand it, the more the shock and bewilderment showed in my face. Don't make that scary face. I'd like to give you a little help. Look here. Huh? And then, she rose up, smiling and laughing, as something suddenly rolled out by her feet. Looking more closely, it was a single old scroll. That's definitely what I'm looking for. I gently picked it up, then looked up to face the girl in front of me. The fear I felt a moment ago immediately faded away. Thank you, Rika-chan. You've been a big help. Since when does she go, eh? Whatever. And then, Rika-chan, she smiled as she passed by my side. And then, I'm going ahead. Huh? You need to end this quickly. There's not much time left. Ugh. Then once I came to my senses, I looked back, but nobody was there. That scene, it was like a dream. Then I understood. I knew. The reason why the girl who died on that day appeared before me. Thank you, Rika-chan. Then I held the sword up high to express my gratitude to the empty room. That moment, it seemed like someone was laughing in the far corners of the darkness. I could feel it. Okay. Kinda sweet. Yeah, that explains why it's so impersonal, because Shion and Rika weren't really that close. I'm like 95% sure it's gotta be Shion. There's not really anything established for it to be something supernatural. And Rika persisting, I don't know. With Psycho Roshi, I can believe that she can manifest into fucking Ritual Storehouse. Why the hell not? Alright, I guess that's going to be it for this episode then, guys. I'd assume next episode would be the last of this arc, but yet to be seen. We might go for another fucking 4 hours, but I have tomorrow off, so that's helpful. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. If you liked it, then be sure to press the like button, and if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye! Yeah!